We are back. It's the post-match of day one of the fourth test match. What an exciting, interesting, and there's a lot of controversy already after the day one of the test match. But thank you so much for joining us again. There's a lot of you guys waiting, which we always appreciate. If you guys are joining us for the first time, like we always do, we have a lot of segments in our live. We will talk about what the positives for the Indian team, the negatives for the Indian team, what India needs to do tomorrow. And also we'll have a morning recap for those of you folks who couldn't make the time and wake up at 5 a.m. because I wouldn't blame you at all. Yeah. Especially today, I would have woken up at 5 a.m. and just seen the whole drama that went about. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Srikanth, hi. Vedang, hi. There's a lot of you guys already talking about a lot of things.
Very nice to watch.
Hi. Adit, hello. Hari Krishnan. So early, yeah, that is true.
We're on time, guys.
Yeah. We are on time. But yes, it's been an interesting day of Test cricket. We will wait for a little bit and then move on to the morning session. Srikanth, hi.
Kohli, the wannabe Sigma. Yeah, we'll get into all of it. There's a lot to talk about.
Hey, Mickey. It's great to see familiar names. I was going to say faces, but familiar names. Hi, Karma. Hi, Aditya. Hi, Darshil. Sorry. Anurag, Parag. Hey, such...
Are you related to Riyan Parag?
So many familiar names. Crick fan, bad day for us. So interesting, Aditya. We'll talk about a lot of things because there is a lot to talk about. But yeah, before we jump on, do you want to talk about the scorecard of the day?
Cool. So, brief summary. Australia starting the day. They won the toss. They choose to bat. Seemed to be a pretty decent wicket to bat on. Australia getting 311 for 6 at stumps. Bumrah once again getting a 3-4 was the pick of the bowlers. Obviously, we will Sessions bowling spell itself.
Yes.
But yeah, apart from that, Akashdeep got 1 wicket, Jaddu got a wicket. All in all, India, I would say the day evened out slightly in favor of Australia. But yeah, I think more than just the way Australia played, it's the top 3, how they batted. Even Steve Smith now is in. And yeah, been a pretty interesting day of cricket.
It has been an interesting day of Test cricket. Let's talk about the morning recap. What happened at 5 a.m. A lot of things happened actually. Konstas came out with all guns blazing. He did walk the talk. We talked about this yesterday. If you're going to be arrogant and confident, might as well be, especially against someone like a Bumrah. And that's exactly what happened today. The first few times he tried to play the scoop shot, a lot of people laughed. Usman Khawaja was having a lot of fun. Except he did execute it. He hit Bumrah for 6 after 4,000 or something balls or something bizarre of those numbers. Bumrah gets hit for a 6, reverse scooped for a 6. And again, Konstas did what he said he would. It's also interesting because it wasn't all that surprising for a 19-year-old to come about and show what he can do, show his cards early. We have seen this with Shikhar Dhawan when he made his debut for the Indian team. He was all attacking batter. We saw this with David Warner. What's important for him in his perspective is how he can continue doing this while the opponents now start figuring him out. And that is what's going to be important. The other thing that happened, of course, all of you guys know what happened in the morning just because it's already made headlines, is with Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli rubbing shoulders with Konstas.
I wouldn't say it was a rub. It was more of a body slam.
Yeah, true that. It wasn't like that MS Dhoni bit. Remember MS Dhoni?
The Mustafa
But yeah, I do have opinions on this and let's just talk about it. Let's just address it before we go any further.
Yeah.
According to us, if not me, and I don't want to put... I'm sorry about this light, by the way. But anyway, I don't want to put words into Pratib's mouth, but I think Virat Kohli deserves a match suspension because that is the only way to go about it. It's a cricket field. It's a cricket ground. A lot of Virat Kohli fans will talk about how this is the old Virat Kohli and all of that. Yeah, the old Virat Kohli never rubbed shoulders. There was an incident with Tim Payne, which wasn't escalated, which again should have, but this was completely deliberate. This was absolutely unnecessary, especially on a cricket field because like Justin Langer said during lunch or tea, this is a non-contact sport and it should stay non-contact. So if rubbing shoulders is okay, then what is the line to be drawn? And for someone like a Virat Kohli, there needs to be a line to be drawn. He cannot be a bully on the field. If you want to intimidate a 19-year-old, go at it. Talk all you want. Say everything that you want, but you cannot have physical contact. And someone already mentioned this before, that Rabada, this happened with Rabada and Steve Smith, where Rabada did get a level 2 conduct suspension.
Voice is breaking.
Voice is breaking. Is it breaking a lot?
Is it breaking for everyone?
Yeah.
Just let us know in the
Oh,
chat.
yeah, it's the internet. It's probably the internet. Sorry about that. It's the internet. But yeah, the point is that this happened with Rabada and Steve Smith, and Rabada did get a match suspension. And I think if you're going to continue with that, I think Virat Kohli should also get a match suspension, because this is just not done. It's not right at all. You cannot do this not just against a 19-year-old, but any opponent you're playing on a cricket field. But yeah, that's been the morning recap. We can talk more about it. Thank you guys for saying no. Appreciate that, not breaking. Thanks. Hey, voice is good. I'll take that as a compliment. Right. Cool. Talking about the positives for the day. If you have more stuff on Kohli, we'll talk about that. But yeah, positives for the day, Pradip.
Of course, the Kohli conversation will keep going, but it's also important to focus on the positives for India's day of play. And firstly, of course, Bumrah and Akashdeep once again were really good with the ball. Bumrah, barring that first spell, which we will talk about in detail later on, again, he was the pick of the bowlers. Even when he got the second new ball, he was swinging it, which was very interesting, getting swing late in the day. Akashdeep once again happened to be unlucky, was just not getting the wickets, was beating the outside and inside edges regularly, but he finally got one wicket. And in general, I think he bowled really well. He also eventually took the new ball, the second new ball. So that was good from Rohit's captaincy point of view. Speaking on Rohit's captaincy, field settings were a lot better. There was a lot more proactive captaincy. And apart from that, I think it was just a lot more positive and attacking. Rohit was not as defensive. Even when Travis Head came into bat, it was a really good ploy where they set the field for the short ball. You had short leg and you had Bumrah was brought back into the attack as well, which was a great sign. And then they bluffed Travis Head. They bowled it around off stump. The first ball was, of course, short around his ribs. And then the second ball was the one that went and hit off stump to get Head's wicket. So all in all, and also Jaddu came into the attack in the 15th over. So just changing your bowlers, making sure you have the good field settings in place.
Fielders around the batters.
Yeah. So from all of that point of view, I think Rohit Sharma did a much better job. Good signs for India. Yeah.
Oh, that's been the positives for the day. But of course, before we go on, I mean, Jasprit Bumrah has been talked about a lot in this series because of the way he's been bowling. Again, this is his comparison to Pat Cummins and how his action goes about. You can see his hyper extension. So Bumrah is on top, Pat Cummins is on the bottom. And if you see the lines, for Pat Cummins, it's straight lines throughout. Of course, the curve is his bowling arm and how that's going on. But if you see the line itself, you can see with Jasprit Bumrah how there is a little bend towards the back. And that is the hyper extension that Jasprit Bumrah gets. We made a whole video on this. If you guys haven't watched that, you should watch that. But yeah, this is just a graph that we wanted to show you, which was very, very interesting. There's also pace difference in terms of his wrist and his release pace and all of that. It's interesting because on average, Pat Cummins' wrist flick or whatever that is quicker than Bumrah, even though Bumrah seems quicker than Pat Cummins. Again, all of this is on average. But yeah, let's talk about the blunders down under. Let's talk about what India didn't do right. They didn't get Konstas. I mean, to be fair, I don't think anyone predicted Konstas would bat the way he did. But talking about the toss and the selection itself, excuse me, it's very unlucky for someone like a Shubman Gill to be dropped. And it makes absolute no sense for us, even though this is what we talked about yesterday. And that is only because you can't drop someone like a Virat Kohli or a Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma being the captain, of course. You can't drop someone like a Virat Kohli. Especially when Shubman Gill looked one of the best batters in this third test match. Yes, he didn't score a lot of runs. And yes, he wasn't able to convert those starts. But even in the pink ball test, he looked comfortable. And for someone who was able to get starts, and for someone who is just 25, it boggles my mind that you are giving a long rope to a player who hasn't performed in the last 3-4 years because he scored almost 10,000 test runs. He's still far away from 10,000 test runs. Yeah. But he looks out of sorts versus someone who looks comfortable, who just needs to start converting those runs and is just 25 years old. It's just unfortunate for Gill. I mean, of course, they were not going to drop Virat Kohli, keep Gill and continue playing NKR. But the selection... This is what we talked about yesterday. If you were to play NKR, you would have to drop a Gill. Yeah. And that's what they did. They played 2 spinners and 3 fast bowlers. We were wrong yesterday when we talked about why is India playing 2 spinners, because we did play 2 spinners in the 2020-21 BGT. So that's a correction from us. But yeah, I wasn't all that surprised. If anything, I was okay with the selection. I mean, we are playing 5 bowlers
Yeah.
and NKR, which is fine. I mean,
That's
Washington Sundar is not really a bowler. And there is something to talk about with that too.
Yeah.
But before we come to Washington Sundar, even in the first spell when Konstas was going at it, even after his wicket with Manas and Khwaja in the middle, we were giving a lot of release shots, and this is something commentators were talking about too, especially after lunch. After lunch would have been a great time for us to keep things very tight, except our bowlers were giving release shots, including Jasprit Bumrah, which was very weird to see from someone like him, but it happened, and it's fine. I mean, you can have a bad session. Because it's day one and because it's one of the blunders, we're just pointing it out. This is very nitpicking, but to win sessions, to win test matches, you have to nitpick these small things.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about Sundar. Sundar, for whatever reason, takes his own sweet time to get into the test match. And of course, Ashwin also had this problem early on in his career, so taking nothing away from Sundar. But it almost feels like Sundar needs his first wicket to then start bowling well. Because until then, he didn't have a lot of flight. His ball doesn't have a lot of dip. His ball is not evidently drifting. And he's just struggling with his line and length and consistency. But once he got Manas out, I thought he started improving. Except in these test matches, you can't wait for a wicket. You have to make sure you are able to get a wicket rather than Manas stepping out and giving a catch to mid off. Like Sundar needs to work a way out to be able to get wickets, and that I think is a criticism towards him. He needs to put more behind the ball, like Pratip talked about yesterday in the live. He needs to be able to drift the ball, flight the ball, give it air, and all of it, which I think Sundar was missing in his first few initial spells. Yeah, that's been a ramble from my side, but this is a Sam Konstas wagon wheel.
So for all of you guys who probably missed Sam Konstas batting live, there was a lot of him trying to scoop early on. In the first over, of course, Bumrah bowled really well, beat him a lot of times. But after that, I think the way Sam Konstas took off, he lapped Bumrah multiple times, 3 times if I'm not wrong, 4-6-4. And that's what you'll also see in his wagon wheel, where if someone who's not seen the match or the batting will look at this, they'll think that these are all edges, but these are all shots that he's manufactured and got all of those runs behind the wicket, which honestly is a first for a lot of us seeing this in Test cricket, seeing an opener play like this, not in terms of the attacking mindset, but in just how he's chosen certain parts of the ground to play his shots. So that's one thing. And the next thing, of course, is the bowling session pitch map, where you'll see that India in the morning have just sprayed it all over the place. Not only that, the bigger problem here is that every time India went extremely full, Konstas was able to capitalize on that. He was able to lap them. And there's 2 things here, right? The first thing, of course, is you want your bowlers to bowl a little full so they're able to get some sort of swing. But very early on, it was evident that there was not much swing to work with, which is where the Indian bowlers should have adjusted to a more shorter or short of good length kind of length. But they've either been too full and gotten beaten, or they've overcompensated and been extremely short. So yeah, that's on the blunders from India. And of course, this is the analysis. Coming to the top performances. Ashwin thought he was going to do that segment. But yeah, coming to the top performances, of course, Bumrah once again features in our top performers of the day. No surprise anymore. Almost every day of Test cricket we've had this entire BGT, Bumrah's been there. Barring that first spell, I thought Bumrah came back brilliantly. And there's nothing more to it. I can add all of the superlatives, but he's been doing what he has been doing consistently. He's been bowling good areas. He's been getting the ball to seam as well, especially around the wicket. Looked extremely potent to the left-handers. Apart from that, there was a tussle that Ashwin and I had between Akashdeep and Jaddu, but I think Jaddu, him getting the wicket of Konstas before the end of that first session was extremely crucial, especially because Australia were on a rampage. They were 89 for the loss of no wickets until Konstas fell. And so I'd like to give that top. What's up, are we back? Yeah, power cut. That's precisely what happened.
Hello. Oh, we are back. Yes, we are
Awesome.
back. Oh, beautiful stuff, lads. We are back.
Let's go.
Are you finished with the top performers?
I think, yeah, I'm done with top performers. Did you guys get that? I don't know. Jaddu and Bumrah were the top performers. Just let us know if you got that part, and then we can move to your questions.
From the stands, yes, from the stands. There is one news though that Virat Kohli got 20% of his match fee
Fined. Yeah.
and he didn't even get one demerit point, which I won't be surprised if the Australians make a big deal out of this because they rightly,
Yeah, the media is going to go bonkers on this.
to not
100%.
get a demerit point is insane for me. Like, how can you just get away with it? But yes, live is back. Sorry about that. We had a power cut. And one of my friend is also watching, and that's the first thing he told me, and that's when we realized that there is a power cut. But yeah, we are back. Again, thank you guys for being patient with us. But yeah, we are in the From the Stand segment where we take in questions from you guys and talk about stuff that you guys have questions about. So yeah.
Seeing a lot of questions or statements in the chat around Siraj and him being overstrained, and someone saying why no one's talking about Siraj. Yeah, even I do feel Siraj is overstrained. I feel like at this point he's just pushing on gas.
True.
Feels like he needs a rest, but I think India is just going to play him till the end of BGT at this point. Yeah.
Someone asked what's a demerit point, which is very, very interesting. So I don't know how to explain this. Demerit point. So you have a set of points, let's just say. I don't know how many that is.
It's like I think three, and like you can get up to 3, and the 4th one is you getting suspension.
Right.
It's like a black star that you used
Virat
to
did
get
one demerit point according to Crick Buzz.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, fine. That's fine.
That's not good.
I mean,
Expected.
it's fine in the sense that he deserves it.
Yeah.
Because he did it. But okay, right. So yes, so Virat did get a demerit point. We'll talk about that. I mean, there'll be more news. Siraj was shit today. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, it's interesting because again with the second new ball, you didn't see Siraj start. You saw Akashdeep, which is very interesting. Also, if you guys did notice that we got a lot more swing and seam in this with the second new ball than the first.
Yeah.
If you guys know why, let us know. I mean, we have a theory, and it's a lot to do with conditions, which is a giveaway. But if you guys have specific answers, it'll be interesting to know because we do have a theory which commentators also did talk about. Right, Srikanth, he has bowled like 50 overs more than other bowlers, I believe. Says how overused he is. He can manage Bumrah but not Siraj. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. Siraj has always come in. Obviously, he starts with the new ball because he's more of a swing bowler.
True.
So obviously, every time he starts with the new ball, and then every time there's like a filler kind of pacer who has to come in, it's always Siraj who comes into the attack. There are a couple of tags slightly above.
Do you think Tanush Kotian's selection is justified, or should another existing spin bowler like a Chahal should have been selected? There was interestingly an article about how Indian captains don't go for wrist spinners. Yeah, but Kuldeep's name was taken, which is not true. Kuldeep Yadav does play Test cricket.
Yeah.
Ritesh, maybe it was a bit overcast in the evening. It is something related to that. As the day progresses, it becomes cooler. And because it's in the evening and the second new ball was taken, it's a lot more cooler than it was in the morning or the afternoon. Because of which the ball does swing a lot more and seam.
Yeah.
Which is why we saw a lot more swing and seam with the second new ball than the first. Sadgopa Ramakrishnan, can India bowl them out by 350, 360 and put on a huge lead? Because in MCG, you can't play catch-up game, which is very, very true.
Very true. Can India ball them out for 350, 360? I think so. We have the second new ball. It's doing a bit. Hopefully tomorrow we can wrap them up. But can India get a lead? For that, India will have to score. For that, India will first have to get them out for 350, 360 odd. And then they will have to bat to score 500 or 600. Which honestly, I don't see it happening.
I mean, the pitch was doing quite a bit, and a lot of people were saying how it might just get worse to bat on. There were some places there were a lot of bounce. Sundar was getting spin, which says something.
Yeah, there's already a small rough that is kind of forming, and a couple of areas where there are cracks and the ball was seaming off it.
True.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, the pitch might just get worse. Tomorrow morning it'll be fine because of all the rollers on the pitch. So it'll be very important for the Indian bowlers to get Australia all out very, very quick, which is something we'll get into, of course, with our next segment.
Yeah.
But getting a lead in this test match is very important. But something to keep in mind is, for now, it's still a belter of a track.
Yeah.
And for now, all type of batting works. Konstas was attacking, he got runs. Steve Smith, Manas were grinding it out, they got runs. And so, as long as you apply yourselves and as long as you can go about your innings as a test match batsman, you will get runs. What Indian batters aren't or won't be aren't able to do or are struggling to do is apply themselves, and which is what is the big problem.
Yeah. There's a question, I don't know by who, but I can see the tag. You guys are talking about Gill
As a technical flaw yesterday, could you all elaborate on what that is and how he can rectify it?
Okay.
What a good question.
That's a good question. So basically, the thing with Gill is.
Good lord, man.
What happened?
This life has to be cursed. But anyway, we're back.
I'm back, guys. Basically, the thing with Gill's technique is how he plays the defense.
Correct.
A lot of times he gets the bat way too forward where he's pushing at the ball, and when he plays spin, his bat is behind the pad, which makes him very prone to LBWs. But especially in Australia, he's kind of poking at a lot of deliveries. Ashwin can probably elaborate on that. But because he's poking, you'll often find situations where he not only will find himself at the crease, but might also commit a lot earlier to a ball that might seem late or even swing late, which makes him a candidate for edges.
And there were a lot of people talking about how Gill looks so good and then just throws his wicket away, which is essentially the problem.
Yeah.
The technical flaw, what Pratap said, is spot on. He seems like he's poking at it even while playing his defense. Even while playing a defense to a middle stump ball. It feels like he's poking at it because of how hard his hands are.
Yeah.
Which is a very big problem because in a test match, you're revolving your shots. Your shots revolve around your defense, which is one major problem with Rohit Sharma too. And as a number 3 batter, you cannot be having that. And you can't blame Gill for it because he's naturally an attacking batter.
Yeah.
And so that is one of the flaws, and something he can rectify is play the ball as late as possible. Learn from someone like a KL Rahul. The way he's playing the ball very, very late, very close to his body, that's exactly what you need to do. Then you stop poking at it. You're not going for the ball. You're waiting for the ball to come to you. So not only are you going to play with softer hands, but every time you get a nick, it's not going to carry 2 slips like a lot of times that KL Rahul has done.
And I think this is also one of the basics of cricket coaching when you start out is you talk about bottom hand and top hand, and you always want to keep your top hand firm and your bottom hand loose, especially in the test format, because the moment your bottom hand is loose, it carries your bat forward and that induces edges that eventually carry to keepers or slip. Yeah.
There was an interesting question. I'm sorry, I forgot who it's by, but Arvind, what's your thought on Rohit Sharma's field placement today?
We just spoke about it some time back. Was a lot better today as compared to all of the earlier test matches that we've seen him captain in. He is proactive also and also positive in the sense that he, despite Konstas attacking, he didn't particularly set the field out, which was good to see because with Rohit, it's very often that he hits the panic buttons too soon and he's spreading out the field. And apart from that, I think bowling changes wise also he was really good. We also spoke about it. Having short leg, having leg gully, leg slip, having a catching mid wicket, all of these things was good signs.
True. Yeah. I mean, the only criticism, if we had to criticize him, it would be not having a leg slip or leg gully to Steve Smith. I think should have been
for the brief period.
Yeah, for a brief period. Yeah. Something very interesting is Cricket Converse says your idea on Konstas defense, I think it's not good. He hardly played any
defensive shots. Yeah.
Karma. I don't know why we had a break there. Can Bumrah's injury be a serious problem? I don't know about injury, but there was a question there. If Konstas is taking Bumrah apart, is that a problem for the Indian bowling lineup? If Bumrah is struggling to find his line and length, which he wasn't. I mean, he did take those 3 wickets. But in a scenario where Bumrah is getting attacked, will that be a major issue for the Indian cricket team, like the bowling attack?
So here's the thing, right? This is Sam Konstas' first innings. We've seen a lot of batters in their first innings come and do this in Test cricket. They were talking about Sehwag. They're talking about Jaiswal, Shikhar Dhawan. So the thing is, can Konstas repeat this consistently through the rest of his career? Only time will tell. Of course, it's the first time you're seeing him play at the international level.
True.
And not a lot of people would have expected him to go out and play the way he did because it's international cricket, despite having seen him do this in domestic. But yeah, Bumrah will definitely have his plans for the next innings.
I feel like Bumrah will be happy if the bat is doing all of this. Crick fan, thank you so much for the super chat. You have given us a lot of super chat and we appreciate that. Unfortunately, when we bat tomorrow, it will become a bowling pitch also. How was Rohit Sharma's captaincy? We did talk about Rohit Sharma's captaincy. It was a lot better. It was the best if you compare him to the other 2 test matches. I don't know if it will become a bowling pitch, but
the pitch
might break down a little.
Might break down a bit more. Some cracks might open. Yeah.
Absolutely agree to this. Same thing as Gabba. I think I mean, even in Gava, it's just the Indian batters struggle to apply themselves, and you can't blame the pitch for it, or you can't say the Indian batters were unlucky. And I think it's going to be the same thing tomorrow. I don't think the pitch is going to be so bad.
Even today, to be honest, there was always something in the pitch for the
Yeah,
bowlers
exactly,
to work
yeah.
with. So it's not like it's a belter of a batting wicket, but if you get in, then it is.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Quick converse, or let's take Harshit. Why does it happen that when a players show aggression, they're not able to back it up with their performance? Example, Jaiswal and Stark, but Konstas is backing it up with his performance. I mean, that's a...
It's very subjective.
It's very,
Konstas has just played one innings, so we shouldn't get too ahead of ourselves. He could very well turn up in the next innings and get bowled first ball. Like,
True.
it's a lot about the kind of data points you have on the player, because the game is so data oriented now. You usually have two to three plans for each player. But because Konstas was playing his first innings at the international level, there might not have been that much footage or data to work with,
Right.
which the Indians will have now.
Sadakopa Ramakrishnan, I was rewatching BGT 2023 highlights and seeing how Rohit played in that and seeing it now, I'm completely shocked. Opinions. I don't even think you have to go that far. If you look at the 2024 England series where he played in India, I mean, even that he was attacking, but he was like,
Technically, yeah, he was a lot more, like there was a forward press and everything, whereas like right from the Bangladesh series is when he started getting squared up. We have a video on this, check it out.
Arjav Mehta, Akashdeep deserves so much better today. Trouble Steve Smith multiple times. Bumrah got the wickets, but Akashdeep was the pick. 100%.
100%.
See, that's also why our top performers, we were a bit skeptical. But like Jadeja getting that first wicket was very, very crucial.
Yeah.
But yeah, Akashdeep, my God, he's done brilliantly. Pratap was talking about how he should just cry after the first wicket because of how much he's done. But interestingly enough, a lot of people talked about Ishant Sharma this week. Like how Ishant Sharma would beat the bat so many times and not get a wicket. Hey Harshit, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate that a lot. But with Ishant Sharma, it was a lot to do with his length. What do you think is with Akash?
He's just too good.
Like with Ishant Sharma, he would bowl a lot of short of good length balls. So play and misses were like almost a norm.
Yeah.
I don't know what is up with Akash. I would want to see his length pitch map and see if it's the same problem. I mean, Akash doesn't give that same feel because Ishant Sharma is the pitch
Hit the
deck kind of a fast bowler.
Yeah.
Whereas Akashdeep is not. He's more skiddy. He's very Shami-like.
Yeah.
But if that's the same problem, it will be interesting because I think that is it. Like he's bowling bowling it a little shorter.
Yeah.
And every time he does that, there's a lot of plays and misses. Wasn't Ishant's height a factor too? Yeah, exactly. Also why he would bowl short of good length balls, get that extra bounce. Right, Dheeraj, we need to understand that Siraj isn't a new ball specialist bowler. Which is...
I don't think that's true because Siraj has thrived with the new ball. He's got all of his good spells that you'll see. He started off really well with the new ball. He's got a little bit of away shape. He's picked the outside edge a lot of times. So no, I don't necessarily agree to that. If anything, I think Siraj is more vulnerable as a first change bowler and you'd rather have him open the bowling.
Shrikant. Oh, so there was an Australian perspective. Karma?
Yeah.
I think Marsh should be replaced in the next match with Josh English or someone new, I guess. Which is true because Marsh looked completely out of sorts.
Yeah.
He didn't look like... I mean, when Jadeja was bowling to him, or it was Sundar, whoever, to a full-length delivery, he went back foot and commentators were shocked. Michael Vaughan said he just went back foot to a front foot ball. And you know that's a bit of an issue. He looked out of sorts against Bumrah, tried to play a pull shot to a good length delivery, which again, like, it was out of nowhere. And yeah, Marsh just doesn't look okay in this series. Doesn't trust his defense.
Even with the ball, he's not really looked threatening per se.
True.
So, yeah.
Pratik, you're here. Akashdeep bowls too slow. That's why he does not get wickets, which is not true.
Don't think that's true. He balls in the mid 130, sometimes 140. And if anything, he might be faster than Siraj in the sense that even if they ball the same speed, I think Akashdeep is hitting the bat faster because of his skiddy nature. Yeah.
Does it make sense to shift KL to number 3 since he's already been the best batter for the Indian team? I mean, we have talked about this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sides to look at it.
Yeah. There's basically, one way of looking at it is that because of the way in which KL Rahul has played, he essentially fills Pujara's role at number 3, and so he might be a solid number 3.
True.
the only reason that KL was slotted down was because the person who's come into that opening slot was India's opener before he took a break, and also he's India's captain, and he clearly struggled in the middle order, and that's why he's there on top.
Yeah.
But now, depending on how he performs for the rest of this VGT, in fact, even the next innings, if he opens and does well, then that's when the questions will start. But if he opens and fails,
Yeah, because it's interesting and it's something for you guys to think about too. Because think about this. Let's just say Rohit Sharma does perform, so he keeps his opening spot.
Yeah.
But in the next 2 test matches, KL Rahul doesn't perform at number 3. Then what do you do?
Yeah. It's, yeah.
So I feel like that is an issue to think about. But yeah. Abhijit Singh, missing players like Puji, Murli, Vijay and Dravid. I don't think we're missing players like Puji, Murli, Vijay or Dravid. Oh, Murli Vijay, right? It's one name. I mean, we might be missing Rahul Dravid, but that way we could be missing Sachin or just any player. But I don't think we're missing a lot. We're not missing players in the squad, right? All of these guys in the Indian team are bloody talented and they're selected for a reason. And they've all scored runs before. It's not like they haven't. It's just for whatever reason, this time around, they aren't able to apply themselves, which is very, very frustrating to see. I mean, Pujara in the last couple of years didn't really perform. So I feel like a lot of us are still living in that
last BGT.
Yeah, last BGT. Because after that, he didn't really perform. And so there are a lot of batters like that. I just feel like we need to be able to apply ourselves. What is lacking in this series? Hey, Dipesh, thank you so much for the super chat. Analysis of the pitch behaved too fashion today. That is very, very true.
Yeah, for sure. Comes back to our point of how the pitch is good for the most part, but there are a couple of cracks that are slightly starting to open up, and there is a small rough that is forming. So that's where the uneven bounce or the too fashion nature is coming from.
Let's move on to what should India do tomorrow, because we can go on, but we have so many days of Test cricket left. Let's talk about Wonder Down Under and what India needs to do tomorrow. The new ball is still swinging. It might not swing as much tomorrow because it's the morning session, but you still start off with the Bumrah and Bumrah and Akashdeep because they have been bowling really well. And then you can bring in Siraj as first change, or you could even try a spinner on if the Australian batters are going on and it's tough to get a wicket. It will be important for the Indian team to get Australia all out as soon as they can, but it's easier said than done. So they will need a set of plans. Like I said, start off with the Bumrah and Akashdeep, and then maybe a Siraj or even a Jadeja. But it will be important for the Indian team to come out with a plan, even if it's the short pitch bowling that they want to try. Whatever the plan is, try to go on for as long as possible. Hopefully, I'm being very optimistic, but get them all out before lunch. If not 1 hour or 2 hours after, 1 hour after lunch. And it needs to be done before the end of the second session. And so that'll be important.
Sure. Yeah.
And then Indian batters come on to bat, they need to just apply themselves. Jaiswal and Rohit Sharma this time around with KL Rahul at number 3. The top 3 need to make sure that they have a big partnership, because like we told you yesterday, since 2018, no team has lost after gaining the first innings lead. So it will be important for the Indian team to get that lead. So yeah, this is what the Indian team needs to do tomorrow, and this has been our live on day 1. We had a lot of issues. For whatever reason. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Tomorrow is going to be interesting. A lot of people might talk about Virat Kohli and Konstas. That's not going to change. Konstas actually had a very mature response to it.
What do you say?
I mean, he just said that it happens in the game. Like, it's a heated battle.
Good on him.
Yeah, good on them. A 19-year-old not only could take the attack on Bumrah, but had a response that, I mean, if he gave a lot of slack to Kohli, I wouldn't have been surprised, but a mature response. I just hope the ICC take a stricter action. That's what I hope. Yeah. But yeah, this has been a post-match of day 1. We will do this every day of the test match, and we will have things to recommend. So today's recommendation is... You have a recommendation?
No.
Oh yeah, so today's recommendation is, those of you guys, let's talk about Australia and South Africa. If those of you guys who haven't watched a documentary on that sandpaper gate, you guys should. It's by one of the South African news channels. I forgot which, but it's and I forgot what it's called. But we'll put it in the description. But there's a whole 1 hour documentary on the sandpaper gate and what happened in the South Africa test match.
Yeah.
It's not because they cheated or anything. There's just an interesting documentary to watch. A lot of behind the scenes, a lot of opinions, a lot of pundits talking about their side of things. It's a very interesting watch. We will put out the link and stuff in the description. I have no idea how I just forgot the name of it. But yes, thank you so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow. Vasu, love y'all. Love y'all too. Yeah. See you guys tomorrow. Peace. Bye-bye.